Okay, let's take a look at CSS. That means cascading style sheets. And they're called cascading style sheets because it's possible for you to have a number of different style sheets attached to the same HTML, and they override each other as they go down. That's a little bit more complicated. Let's just take a look at how CSS looks and how it really works on the page. And so I'm going to take the web page that I created in the last video, and I'm going to start giving it some style. So right now you'll see that the page doesn't look very pretty. In fact, it's darn ugly. So let's put some style, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create some style tags. So I've got tag style, and notice that I'm in the head portion of my document. So I'm not in the body, I'm in the head. I'm going to put the ending style tag, and everything between these tags will be my styles. So the way that styles work is that we have a selector in which we select something that's on the page, and then we take the properties of that thing that is selected and we give those properties a value. So it's like a key pair value. So to select, the first thing that we do is we're going to write what we're selecting. So I'm going to start by selecting the entire body of the page. So by selecting the body of the page, I can do things like create margins and also change the color of the page. So to select the body, I'm just going to type in the word body up here. But then I'm going to put an opening and then a closing curly bracket behind it. So this is how we select our body, and all of the key values for our body are going to go within the curly brackets. So I'll go ahead and put a little space here, and I'll put my first property, which is the background color. So right now my page is white, that's the default. What if I wanted to make it something more interesting? I would type in background. In fact, my IntelliSense gives me a drop-down menu, and I want to do the background color. And so that's my key, and then I put a full colon, and then I'll put my value. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a color, and it's going to be in the hexadecimal color system. And this is kind of a drab olive color. And then, so that's one key pair, so I'll end that with a semicolon. So the background hyphen color is number 223311. If I save this and then go to my web page and refresh it or reload it, I can see that my background color has changed. Now it's this dark army green looking thing. And that's what I wanted, as a matter of fact. Now you'll see that my page doesn't have any margin on the side of it. Everything's stuck on the side. That's kind of ugly. I would like my page to have some kind of margin around it. And so within the body, I'm going to go ahead and use the margin property, and I'm going to set that to a number of pixels. I'll set it to 200 px, which is 200 pixels. And then I put the semicolon at the end. I'll save it, and when I reload my page, you should see a margin appear. And in fact, a margin did appear. So now I've got a margin on the side of my page, and that looks much better. We've got the letters here that are black. That's my H1. I don't like the font. I'd like to have it Arial. And I don't like the color. It's black. It doesn't fit with this green. So I'm going to go to my page, and I'm going to select something else. This time I'm going to select the H1. So my heading 1. So there's my selector. Now I'm going to fill it up with some properties, key value pairs. So the first thing I'm going to change is the color. So what is a good alternative color besides this black? Well, what about tan? So I'll just write in tan. So this is another way that I can put it in color. Instead of putting the number, I can put in a word. And so long as there's a word that lines up with a color, I'll have that. So I put it as tan. I'm going to refresh this, and I see that that is tan, so that looks pretty good. I don't like the font, and I might like to make it a bit bigger, so I'm going to go and change the font, and I do that by going to something called font-family. So the font family. And I'm going to change that to a font called Arial, which it's kind of blocky. So I'll go ahead and save this and refresh it. Okay, so now that's the Arial font. And I'm going to make it bigger. So I'm going to go to font-size. And I'm going to set it at, let's say 30 pixels. Well, let's say 40 pixels. Not sure if this is going to be too big or too small. We'll have to experiment with it. And I reload. And that looks pretty good. So there's my heading. And now I've got this paragraph here. Paragraph is unreadable. The font's too small. And, well, the black doesn't really stand out on that green, that dark green. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to change that paragraph. So I select the paragraph by putting a P and then a opening and closing curly brackets. And then I'll put the color of the text, so I'll just type in color. And I'm going to make that another color. I'm just going to try white. And then I'm going to put the font size, hopefully something bigger, and let's try 20px. We'll see, maybe that's too big. I'll refresh it. And so that makes the text much bigger. It is white, stands out more. Okay, so now I've got my image here, and my image looks pretty good, except I think I would like to have it so it looks like it's got a shadow around it, and so it kind of sticks out or pops out of the page a little bit. So I'll go and I will select the image tag, IMG, and then opening and closing curly brackets. And I can put some selectors here, and I will put box shadow. So there's my box shadow. And basically we've got to put in how much we want the shadow to drop vertically. So this is 5px, and a space, how much we want the shadow to drop horizontally or go to the side. I'll put 5px over here as well. And then what color we want the shadow. I'm going to put gray just to see how that looks. Okay, save it, reload. Okay, so here I can see that there is a gray shadow around that image. It's not very believable. It's very thick. So I might want to give it another number here, and that is how much it'll be diffused. I'll put 10. See if there's a difference here. That does make it more diffused. The gray doesn't really work with this. It's too dark for that, so I'm just going to make this black. Okay, now we got a really dark shadow around it. And so that looks much more realistic, I think, that black shadow. Okay, then I've got my link down here, and the link is too close to the picture, and you can't see it, it's purple. So I'm going to try to drop it down a little bit, and I'm going to change it so it's another color that stands out. So that link is an anchor tag, so I can put A. Here's my selectors, and then I will put that the color is orange. And I'm going to give this thing something called padding, and padding gives it some space all the way around it, and I'll give it 20 pixels of padding. So that'll create a kind of a space around it. I'll go ahead and reload this. Okay, so it's orange, and it did give me a little space, but not as much as I want. So I'm going to change this to 60, make it more obvious. Go ahead and reload it. And I can see that it is moving over here. Well, that's okay. Then I see my ordered list. I could change this basically in the same way that I'm changing everything else. I could either do the entire ordered list by going UL, and I could change this color. I'll go ahead and change this color to white as well. Maybe I should make it yellow. Okay. So refresh that. We can see that the list items there are now yellow. This is an H2, so it hasn't changed at all. If I want to change that, again, I've got to do H2. And I'm going to make it tan as well. Color tan. And there it is. Okay, so now our page looks much different than it did before. Does it look better? I hope so. I think it does look a lot better than just the old white. But the key is that with this, we can make this page look like anything that we want to. You know, we don't have to go with this military thing that I've got going here. We could have a pink theme or a red theme or Christmas theme or any kind of thing that we wanted. And that's what makes CSS so powerful, is it allows us to change stuff. If I start adding components like an H1 tag, the H1 tags that I add will keep the same style. So that makes it easier for us to change lots of different stuff on the page just with one little code. So that is an introduction to CSS.